It's Friday. Your paycheck just hit. And before you even check the balance, your brain already knows where most of it is going. Not to savings, not to investments, not to anything that will matter in 10 years. It's already spoken for. And you didn't even decide that consciously. It just happened. Again. This is the pattern. And most people will repeat it every single Friday for the next 40 years without ever stopping to name it. Researchers at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York found something uncomfortable in their consumer spending data. Spending spikes on paydays, not just a little, dramatically. People who say they want to build wealth consistently spend the highest percentage of their income within 72 hours of receiving it. The very moment money enters the account, the brain begins spending it, not saving it, spending it. Dr. Shlomo Benartzi, a behavioral economist at UCLA, calls this present bias. Your brain assigns enormous value to what it can have right now and almost no value to what it could have in 20 years. A dollar today feels worth $10 in the future. So your brain does what brains do. It spends the dollar. And every Friday, that bias gets activated by a trigger you've been trained to respond to since your first job. The paycheck arrives, and your nervous system reads it as, now we can relax, now we can reward ourselves, now we can spend. Think about what you did last Friday, or the Friday before. Maybe you grabbed food that cost more than it should have. Maybe you filled the gas tank and threw in a drink and a snack you didn't need. Maybe you bought something online that had been sitting in a cart all week, and payday felt like the green light to finally check out. Maybe you transferred money to a bill you'd been avoiding, and then you looked at the balance 2 days later and felt that familiar tightness. Where did it go? It went to the pattern, the one nobody taught you to see. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, explains that most financial failure is not a math problem. It's a habit loop problem. Cue, routine, reward. The cue is the paycheck. The routine is spending. The reward is the momentary feeling of abundance. And the loop repeats until something forces it to break. But here's what makes this pattern especially dangerous. It's invisible because it feels normal. Everyone around you is doing it. Every Friday, millions of people across this country experience the same spike of relief, the same burst of spending, the same quiet erosion of the paycheck before Monday arrives. And because everyone is doing it, no one questions it. It feels like life. It is actually a trap. The wealthy figured out a long time ago that payday is not a permission slip to spend. It's a deployment decision. When a paycheck arrives for someone who has studied money, the first question is not, what do I want? It's, where does this go before I can touch it? That single shift in question changes everything. Dr. Richard Thaler won the Nobel Prize in Economics in part for his research on what he called the Save More Tomorrow program. The core insight was simple and devastating. When people are asked to save money right now, they resist. When people are asked to commit future money to savings before it arrives, they agree at much higher rates, because future money doesn't feel real yet. It hasn't been claimed by present bias. It hasn't been assigned to anything, so the brain lets it go. The trick is to make the decision before Friday comes. People who build wealth don't have more willpower than you. They don't have more discipline. They've simply structured their accounts so that the money moves automatically before the pattern can activate. Before the paycheck hits the main account, a portion is already rooted somewhere else. Savings account, investment account, retirement contribution. The brain never sees it as available, so it never feels like a loss. What broke people do every Friday is wait. They receive the money, feel the abundance, spend through the abundance, and then save whatever is left, which is usually nothing, or almost nothing. And they tell themselves next paycheck will be different. It won't be, because the pattern runs the same loop. What the financially free do is decide before the money arrives. They pay themselves first, not a motivational slogan, a structural decision built into the account before the cue can trigger the routine. Here's the other thing nobody tells you. The amount doesn't matter as much as the habit. Dr. Thomas Stanley spent decades studying millionaires in America and published his findings in The Millionaire Next Door. What he found was not that wealthy people earned more. Many of them earned ordinary incomes. What separated them was that they treated saving as a bill, non-negotiable, fixed, due before anything else. If you have a rent payment, you pay it. You don't feel bad about it. You don't debate it. It's just what happens on the first of the month. Wealthy people treat their savings account the same way. It's a bill to yourself, and it gets paid first, every time. Your brain wants to tell you that you don't make enough to save. That story is one of the most effective lies the pattern tells, because people earning twice your income are often in the same loop. Spending rises to meet income. The pattern scales. What changes wealth is not the size of the paycheck. It's what happens to the paycheck in the first 24 hours. Start there, not with a budget, not with a spreadsheet, with one question. Before this Friday's paycheck hits, decide where a portion of it goes before you can touch it. Even if it's $20, even if it's $50. The dollar amount is not the point. Training the brain that payday is a deployment decision, not a permission slip, is the point. Because it's Friday, and your paycheck just hit, and for the first time, you get to decide what the next step in that loop looks like. The pattern doesn't have to run the same way it always has. It just has to be interrupted once, and then again, until the new loop is the one that runs automatically. And 10 years from now, when your balance looks nothing like it does today, you'll trace it back to one Friday when you asked a different question before you spent a single dollar.